What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my first impressions of Icewind Dale 2. Icewind Dale 2 is a unique game in a lot of ways, as much for the actual game itself and the position it kind of holds in CRPG history, if you will, because if you're unaware, this game is pretty much one of the last ones developed by Black Isle Studios. It published originally back in 2002, so about 20 years ago, and it's also the final Infinity Engine game, at least originally if you don't count the enhanced editions. These days, Icewind Dale 2 is pretty much only available via GOG, and what's more is that there is no official enhanced edition for this particular game. Whereas other Infinity Engine titles received an enhanced edition, there was a problem locating the source code for Icewind Dale 2, which is why this particular one never got an enhanced edition. There is, however, a sort of community project that is working on making an enhanced edition for it, but officially there is none. Beyond just that, Icewind Dale 2 is also unique for some of the gameplay elements, as this particular title incorporates the 3rd edition rule set. However, not in its entirety either. It was more of an adaptation than a direct transfer, because some of 3rd edition's rules weren't really adaptable to the Infinity Engine, as the engine of this game itself and many of the other loved CRPGs from this time had more or less reached the end of its life cycle. And for all of those reasons, Icewind Dale 2 is a really unique game, again, for as much of its place in history as the actual game. As far as the actual game goes, the Icewind Dale series has always been very combat heavy. It is focused on the combat of these style CRPGs, and the story is more secondary and just a vehicle to get you from dungeon to dungeon, as opposed to the other CRPGs of this time who were much more focused on the story, like say Baldur's Gate. Meaning that if you don't like the combat of these older games, the Icewind Dale series really isn't for you. Because while it does have a decent story, 90% of it is just combat. But beyond just stuff like that, we do see some significant changes in Icewind Dale 2 compared to the other Infinity Engine titles and Icewind Dale. For starters, a newer UI, it's a lot cleaner, but at the same time, if you're not familiar with what all these icons are or the other Infinity Engine games, you're likely still going to be pretty lost. But in addition to the new rule set, they did take the time to sort of clean up the UI and make it overall better, but still not great. The game also gives you the option of starting out with a fully made party already, a preset party, as if you're unaware, there is no main protagonist, so to speak, in the Icewind Dale series. Rather, you create a party of adventurers. However, you can click a preset one in this particular game if you don't feel like making 6 characters from scratch. I will say, though, that when it comes to characters and playing those characters, the scripting from the new rule set seems to have taken a bit of a hit. In the AD&D versions of these types of games, Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, etc., the scripting actually works pretty well if you take the time to set it up, whereas here, a lot of the characters seem to really struggle with the basic commands. Like, I'm having a lot of trouble getting a sorcerer to autocast, for instance, because the script that is with the game seems to focus more on wizards, which is something I'm sure I'm going to have to deal with as I move to wrap up this particular title. But that stuff aside, the story, while a little bare bones, still kind of throws you into the action right away. For instance, we play adventurers from Luskan sent to reinforce the town of Targos against a goblin horde who has been attacking. So the prologue is you defending the town from these goblins, and then you kind of move from the city to investigate why these goblins are becoming a horde like this, as that's a bit uncommon, all while exploring the 10 towns of the Icewind Dale region of the Sword Coast. But that's pretty much what I've got for you guys first impressions wise. Icewind Dale 2 takes a lot of interesting steps with an aging engine and a new rule set at the same time, and kind of mashes them into a game that, again, focuses on the combat. But I would say, first impressions wise, it really fails to do anything besides use a rule set that the other Infinity Engine games didn't. And beyond that, honestly, it's mostly just more of the same as far as those games go, which is why I think it sees a little less love than all of the others, quite frankly. But that's what I've got for you guys today. Certainly hope you enjoyed the video. Looking forward to reviewing this title, as it's one of the last major CRPGs that I have not covered up to this point. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.